Hey there and welcome. Today we're going to dive into something pretty interesting. It's the story of a health-conscious mom of three who decided to skip one of the most common go-to first foods for babies. She actually went and did the research, and what she found really challenges what a lot of us have been told for decades. So yeah, let's get into it. Think about it. When you picture a baby's first ever bite of solid food, what do you see? For most of us, it's that little spoonful of runny rice cereal. It's what our parents did, it's what their parents did, and it's often what pediatricians still recommend. But what if, and this is a big what if, that automatic first step isn't really the most nourishing one? That's the big question we're digging into.
So where did this all come from? Well, our guide for this explainer is Bridget Tyler. She's a parent who, when her doctors suggested starting rice cereal at just 4 months old, kinda paused. Instead of just going along with it, she decided to do her own deep dive. And what she found led her down a completely different path.
All right, so here's our game plan for this. First, we're going to question the whole purpose of first foods. Then, we'll get into this idea of nutrition versus learning. After that, we'll look at a baby's digestion and some potential hidden risks. And finally, we'll explore a totally different take on that very first bite. Okay, first things first. Let's start with the big foundational idea that really props up this entire perspective. It's all about rethinking why we even introduce solid foods when we do.
You've probably heard this saying, right? Food before one is just for fun. And that's really the core principle here. It doesn't mean it's not important, but what it does mean is that its main job isn't nutrition. The idea is that for that entire first year, a baby's #1 main source of nourishment is, and should be, milk. Solids, they're kind of like the bonus round, all for learning and exploring.
So if we accept that nutrition isn't the primary goal of these first meals, then you have to ask, how does a processed cereal really stack up against what a baby is already getting? Let's take a look. And when you see it laid out like this, the contrast is pretty stark. The source calls breast milk a living food. I mean, it's dynamic, it's constantly changing to meet the baby's exact needs, and it's just naturally packed with everything they need. And on the other side, you've got rice cereal. It's a processed, shelf-stable food. In fact, it's often so processed that they have to artificially add vitamins and minerals like iron back into it. And here's the crucial point. A baby's stomach is tiny. I mean, it's really, really small. So the argument is, if you fill that tiny little tummy with what the source calls empty calories from cereal, you're literally taking up space that should be for the good stuff, for the milk. It can actually make them less interested in drinking milk, which at this age is their perfect, complete food. So you might be wondering, if it's not about nutrition, then what is it about? Well, think of it like a full-on sensory gym session for your baby. They're learning motor skills, right? That whole hand-to-mouth coordination. They're exploring brand new textures and smells, which gets their palate ready for a lifetime of different flavors. They're even learning how to control their grip so they don't just smash their food. It's a really vital training ground. Okay, so now let's switch gears a little bit and get into the more scientific side of this whole argument. We're going to look at what's happening inside a baby's body and maybe inside the cereal box itself. Let's talk about something called pancreatic amylase. It sounds super technical, I know, but it's really just the key tool our bodies use to break down complex starches. And you know what's a complex starch? You guessed it, rice cereal. Without this enzyme, proper digestion is basically a no-go. And this is where it all kind of clicks. See, the source points out that babies are born with almost none of this crucial enzyme. Their little bodies only really start ramping up production around the 6-month mark. So giving rice cereal to a 4-month-old, in her view, is like asking their body to do a job it just doesn't have the tools for yet, and that could easily lead to some digestive upset. Now, beyond just the digestion issue, the source's research pointed to another concern: contaminants. She found that rice, even baby rice cereal, can often test high in arsenic, and some oatmeals can test higher for the herbicide glyphosate. Now for her, even if they were within legal limits, these were just potential risks she wasn't comfortable taking with her own kids. All right, so we've laid out all the reasons why someone might question giving their baby rice cereal, which of course leads to the one huge, obvious question, right? If you take that super common first food off the table, what on earth do you put on it instead?
And that brings us to the final and most actionable part of this whole thing. This is a totally different strategy for introducing a baby to the amazing world of food. Okay, so first up, it's not just about a date on a calendar. It's about your baby's actual development. The source suggests waiting until your baby is showing all 3 of these signs. 1, they're super interested in your food. 2, they have really strong head and core control. And 3, they can sit up almost completely on their own. That's their body telling you, hey, I'm ready.
So the whole philosophy behind these alternative first foods is actually really simple but powerful. Instead of processed grains, the focus is on whole foods that are, packed with nutrients, gentle on that brand new digestive system, and maybe even beneficial for their gut health.
So what does that actually look like? Well, here they are. These are the 5 first foods that this mom started her babies on. Things like meat stock jello, which sounds weird, but it's great for gut health, nutrient-packed egg yolks, a piece of meat on the bone for them to just gnaw on, some soft roasted carrots, and full-fat, unsweetened Greek yogurt. Yeah, a world away from a bowl of bland cereal, right?
At the end of the day, the goal here isn't to tell anybody what to do. Not at all. As the source herself says, it's about providing information, offering a different perspective, and really just giving parents something new to think about as they make their own informed choices for their family.
And that's really why this matters. It encourages all of us to look past tradition and just ask why for ourselves. The journey of feeding a child is so personal, it's unique to every single family. So after hearing all this, the real takeaway isn't a specific menu, but maybe just a new set of questions to guide your own research and your own path forward. Thanks for joining me.